What's going on, everyone? Nick Gambaro, Stefan Martinez here. A little change of pace for today's show. I'm right outside my house. Uh, Stefan's inside. But yeah,
Yeah,
figured come outside. It's nice
look
out.
at this bougie guy. He's
Get some
outside.
fresh
Look at
air.
him. You know,
Um, had a
look at him. All
rocking the
bougie.
shades. Um, a lot to talk about. It's going to be mainly football today. Because of obviously COVID. First of all, Cam Newton, and forgive me, I forgot his name, but the practice squad QB on Kansas City, who both tested positive for COVID. We hope they're okay and they will
Mhm.
be okay.
Mhm.
Schedule changes, as we know. Patriots Chiefs will be played either Monday or Tuesday, as far as I know. Bears.
Well, I'm hearing Tuesday, but that
Okay,
can
Stefan's here on
change.
Tuesday, but right. Bears Colts got moved to 4:25 tomorrow instead of 1 o'clock. So those are only big significant changes for tomorrow's schedule. Of course, Steelers Titans postponed. Will
Right.
not be played Sunday as well. Um, so it's unfortunate. And me and Stefan were texting before the show. It's really surprising that the NFL even got this far without any positive tests, because we assumed that, like week
Right.
one, there was going to be a huge contraction of the virus, but there really wasn't. The NFL, the
Right.
players, staff have been doing a great job, knock on wood, so far. Unfortunately, now a couple of tests,
Mhm.
positive tests. And there was, I just have to say this because we're getting the Jets later, obviously. That's the least important thing we're going to discuss today, but somebody on Twitter put, you know what they should do for the scheduling? Just have the Jets forfeit the Chiefs game and then the Patriots game back to back, and then just play Patriots Chiefs on one of those days. So,
Hey, they're not
which,
wrong.
no, I'm
That's
telling you,
not a
Jets are
bad
going
idea.
0-16. But again, that's another story for another day. How are you, brother? I was rambling on for a minute, but
I'm good, man.
what are your thoughts on this? Of course, we hope they'll be okay. The
Obviously,
two
yeah.
QBs, the
Right.
NFL still, they're doing testing, and they closed down the facility, I heard, in Kansas City. So not in practice today, of course.
They closed down. They closed down the facility in Kansas City and New England.
Okay.
So both those practice facilities are officially closed. Um, it's a very tenuous situation around the league because we got to remember there's an outbreak going on in Tennessee. This outbreak is not small. It's up to 16 people now. Last I checked this morning, um, I believe it's 6 players and like 10 staffers, something
Mm-hmm.
crazy around those
Yeah.
numbers there. So I applaud the NFL for trying, okay? But not to be the guys on the show that says we told you so, but we told you so. I always felt that it was a risk starting the football season, just basically because you don't know who could have contracted what. You're in close proximity to each other. And then you remember, we discussed this, head coach is not wearing mask. Coach is down with their mask on the side, with no mask on
Right.
the sideline.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start thinking, wait a minute, do they think that this thing is just going to magically bypass the NFL?
The
Nah,
NFL went into it thinking that, that they're the high and mighty NFL and nothing could stop them. Well, this could. I mean, we've seen, you're a baseball guy.
right,
You've seen what's happened.
right.
Everyone's seen it who follows sports. And now the NFL. So
It just seems irresponsible to me, and allow
very.
me the leeway to say
And
this.
now college football too is starting. Not, of course, every conference, but majority of conferences started.
And here's the thing: you're not confining this to a bubble, so you still have people getting on planes, traveling from city to city, doing all these things that could put you in inherent risk to catch this virus. And the other thing is, the NFL's talking about safety and protocol measures and things that they're going to do
Mm-hmm.
to up their safety and protocol measures. But correct me if I'm wrong, big dog. Do we even know what those safety measures and protocols are? I mean,
Have
we
you
have.
heard? Because I have.
I mean, I know they're doing temperature checks. They're doing
Of course, right.
all those different things. But let's just
Testing.
let's just say, for instance, that the season gets derailed. Let's say it's October and there's two outbreaks. One in Tennessee that we know about. And let's say something else pops up.
Which
What
is
happens?
possible.
What happens to the season if two of your teams are dealing with massive outbreaks?
It could get derailed this season. You're absolutely right. And this is why we discussed over the summer, previewing football, there should have been a bubble. And look, we're like, you cover the sport. I follow it, of course,
Right.
closely, being a big football fan. Teddy Bruschi tweeted out, I'm sure you saw it, I'm not sure, about how it's just logistically not possible, but it's a nice idea. I mean, I get it. And he, covers it on ESPN. He was in an NFL locker room. They're huge.
Okay.
But there had to be some type of plan.
Here's the problem. If it's not doable, then you don't play.
There shouldn't have been a season until next year. And even and Donnie pointed it out, and me and you said it, but of course the NFL, I guess, wants to stick to schedule that, there could have been spring NFL. I think that would have been a cool idea for one season because, again, we're in unprecedented times. So, luckily,
I don't know.
I'm sorry to cut, but luckily, look, baseball so far, ever since those multiple teams had outbreaks, now it doesn't seem to be anything. Plus, teams are going to be in bubbles now since they started the postseason. But football, they really should have considered it. And I think they could have made it work.
They can make it work. And look, if it's all about the money, which I understand, I mean, human safety comes before all of that. We could sit here and talk about the money and what it means to the sport. They're losing value. We can do all of that.
Right.
When the time is right. Now is not the time to be worrying about how this affects my bottom line, because if there is no season, there is no bottom line.
No.
You know what I'm saying? And it just seems like they're just playing it by ear. Oh, let's see if this happens, we'll do this. All I'm saying is I can't personally see, and me and you disagree on this point, but I can't see how you get through a season if it's only October and you're already having concerns about shutting it down and all these different things that we're experiencing. I don't see a way forward without this thing spreading beyond just a few teams.
And that's very possible. I just think the NFL, even if they have to stretch it out, like take a week or two off or a month off even.
Which they plan to do.
Right.
If you look at the schedule, the back end of the schedule, January is when you usually start the playoff games. They have regular season games
to be determined
in January. Yeah. So they already have an idea that this season may stretch into mid-January, early February, possibly even March. You know?
Yeah.
It seems irresponsible, and maybe I'm being too drastic, but
no, not at all.
You've seen what the NBA has gone through with these bubbles and getting everything confined in the space. I understand football's harder, and
it is.
If you guys remember, I wrote a piece about this.
Over the summer,
COVID news started breaking, and I says, it's all good that the other sports do it. Like the NBA has the funds and they have the small size of coaches.
Same with the NHL. They executed it well too.
Baseball is the same thing. You can do this because
baseball could have. I think they should have, but again,
they got through it for the most part.
Exactly.
They got through it for the most part. Here's the problem, though. You already knew.
What's up, Skip?
You already knew that this was going to be a bear just based on the amount of size that these locker rooms, 53 men, 53-man rosters, not including coaches, trainers, assistant trainers, and that's not even counting.
What's up, Emilio?
That's not even counting um, the regular injuries that we see, the torn ACLs every year, the torn.
Right. Look how many injuries now already through 3 weeks of games.
Right. And this is the thing. It's harder to say we're going to put a turf in a bubble spot or we're going to lay grass in the bubble spot because you already seen how the new turf is affecting things at MetLife. The 49ers were fearful to play on that field because they're like, it's too sticky. It's a brand new turf. It needs to be worked on more.
Right.
I don't understand how you would figure this out. Now, granted, the ratings for the NFL have been fairly pedestrian, to be honest with you. They haven't really been all that great.
Really?
Look, the rating for the Sunday night game last week, I think it was like a 14.5. And usually Sunday Night Football gets like 18, 18.5. So they're down 4%. Now, I don't know if that has to do with the crowds not being there or
could be
just the general consensus of how things are changing. But ratings around the league are down when you would think, hey, man, it's a middle of a pandemic. There's nowhere to go. It's football. You would think people are
right.
home. But the ratings are down. And again, we don't know if the political aspect of, what we've been seeing has anything to do with it.
That's very possible, yes.
Which we're not here to talk about. But
no.
I just think, I don't know. All I'll say is, and I'm sure you agree with this, we're both glad we're not Roger Goodell having to make these decisions.
Yeah, that's got to be an insane, scary responsibility. I mean, because you're in charge of everybody's health and safety right now.
Basically, you're the overseer of the entire league.
Right. If you're the head of anything right now, any company or organization, that's got to be an insane amount of pressure and stress.
What's up, Big Zach? How are you, man? The amount of, and here's the thing, Cam Newton was having a season before.
It was.
So
this could affect New England.
Right. And I was just thinking, now that I saw Zach's comments, we don't know what this does to the Patriots, not only in the short term, but also in the long term. Because now you're starting to see, teams having to reshuffle, teams having to do a lot of rejiggering as it comes down to how do we put a roster together? How do we deal with who plays, who doesn't play? Can we get somebody in here to play quarterback? Now, they're going to try and play the game Monday or Tuesday. Here's the problem. Whoever you put into as the backup quarterback is not Cam Newton.
No, either Brian Hoyer or Jarrett Stidham, not even close to Cam.
You're already behind the 8 ball in terms of who's going to be your backup quarterback. Yeah.
But depending on, again, look at what, and again, I know it was only one time, but remember what Bill Belichick did with Matt Castle. Right? Yeah, Matt Castle in 08 when Tom Brady, tore his ACL. They went 11-5 still. So who knows? And these guys have been in New England system, well, really Brian Hoyer for the most part. Right, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Now,
you're not wrong.
Possibility of winning the division, like I thought from the beginning, now that might be affected.
Yeah, because I like Buffalo, man.
I know, Buffalo. And Buffalo is good. I just still love New England, but now this could change all that. Like, now, in all honesty, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but I was texting with John and my Uncle John. Shouts out to Uncle John.
Ready, boy.
Birthday the other day. Happy belated birthday.
Happy birthday, Big John. I got to text him.
That, oh my God, I lost my train of thought.
So you were talking to your uncles, and you were talking to your uncle, and you were talking to this
John. In all honesty, I think Baltimore's overrated. I know it's a bold statement. I think they're overrated. And if it was going the way it was going to continue to go before the positive test of Cam Newton, I think New England could have possibly made it to the championship game this year. I know it's only 3 games of what we've seen of this New England Patriot team, but I saw something in them. Not Super Bowl, because I don't think they could have beat Kansas City, but they could have made things interesting down the line. What's up, Ray?
I told you. Here's my sleeper team. Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh, too.
Listen, I understand the sum of the parts isn't great in Pittsburgh. But Big Ben is still a very, very, very reliable NFL quarterback. The kid James Conner as the running back position, that kid is something else.
The Terminator, yep. Juju Smith-Schuster.
This is what I'm saying.
And you praise him all the time, Mike Tomlin. You know, you have competent ownership. You have a shot any season when you have that.
This is my point. My point is that
right. They're a great team.
Listen,
it's not
when you deserve love, I'm gonna show it. It doesn't matter, you know.
Right.
But this is the thing that I'm baffled with is, you know, it comes down to this season can not only come down to one injury, but one COVID diagnosis can derail your entire season. It can change everything that you're doing in terms of your preparation on game day. Now, if you're New England, your whole game plan has to change.
Absolutely.
And you're supposed to be playing Monday. So this is not going to be an easy thing to say, oh, we'll figure it out on the fly. Honestly, I don't necessarily know how you do that other than just hoping that it works out. I can't see it. And here's the other thing. The longer the season goes, more tests are going to pop up. More people are going to test positive. I mean, you hope it's not as bad as, you know, with the big name guys and nobody like Cam and anybody like that. But the more you risk this, the more people are going to start getting infected.
Right. And also, too, because I actually watched like the whole show this morning. Usually I watch an hour or 2 of it, but Good Morning Football Weekend, great show on the NFL Network. They brought up a great point. I mean, not great for the Chiefs, but it was fascinating because this game's postponed, right? So let's say they play Tuesday, right? I think they're going to try really hard for Monday, but I think it could be Tuesday like you're leaning towards or you're hearing. Then you got the Raiders coming in Sunday. Then you're on a short week going to Buffalo and playing the Bills. And then playing Sunday after that going to Denver.
No, it affects the Chiefs.
That's going to be hard,
anybody.
Man.
Yeah, it affects the Chiefs more than anybody just based on the schedule of how things are things are going to play out.
With the Jets, you got the Chiefs and New England back-to-back. That's just funny.
You see, you know what you call that? You call that
just quit.
Wrap it up season. It is now officially called Wrap It Up season. I mean, it was Wrap It Up season already, but
for sure.
I'm just beyond frustrated. I'm beyond frustrated because you know, look, for example, and I don't mean to be fanboy because I leave that to you. But proof is in the pudding. You know how the Cleveland Browns are winning football games?
Running the ball.
You know how? Kevin Stefanski turned them into a run-first football team. He took what he did in Minnesota because it's worked for hundreds of years.
Right.
And said, we're going to run the ball. We understand we have Odell Beckham. We understand we have Jarvis Landry. We understand we have all these weapons. How is it that the New York Jets are the only franchise in football that has a QB like Sam Darnold and yet it fails to establish weapons around its
sad,
most
isn't it?
valuable asset.
He looked awesome the other night up until he got body slammed to the ground and no flag. But
all right, I
you know.
usually leave the jet venting to you, but I gotta ask this question.
Yeah.
If this is the future of your franchise, and again, I put that if in huge quotation marks, but if he is the future of your franchise,
Right.
how are you putting him back out there with the sprained AC joint that
I
if he
mean,
gets it again,
God forbid.
he's separating his
I mean,
shoulder?
forget
and he's
about the
probably
Jets for a minute.
healed.
Just for the kids' health. That's scary. That's bad. So bad.
And then the Mekhi Becton thing.
Right, but again, Gase's done this before. He did it to Bell. That's why Le'Veon Bell's been out. Mekhi Becton, great point too. Did that. Came back in, then went back out. And I don't think he played the rest of the game.
No.
Darnold, luckily, didn't get hurt again. But the defenses he's going to be going up against down the line, I mean, Jesus Christ.
But now, check this out. There's no guarantee that we see Sam Darnold at his peak performance at any point during the rest of the season. Because of the selfishness of Adam Gase and feeling like, oh, well, I got it. I'm going to show them.
Right, and being afraid probably that he was going to lose his job, possibly. Which, again, that probably won't happen till the end of the season. If it even happens, because in all honesty...
Here's the thing. If you were afraid to lose your job, then you should have been coaching better.
Right. So, and I was telling John, it's going to be Flacco time, I think. We're going to be seeing Joe Flacco.
And you know what? That might not be a good thing. You know why that might not be a good thing?
Why?
Because he means wins, which means Adam Gase gets to keep his job.
Right.
Because he's a competent quarterback.
He is. He's won before.
That's the fear, is that you bring this guy in, he's competent, he knows what he's doing in the pocket, and this buffoon gets to hang around for smooch his way on another year, and you're just like...
And if that really, I really don't know what I'll do. Like, if Gase is really here for another Jets season, I don't... I mean, for the love of God, I don't know.
If Jet fans are at this rope already, where it's like it's over and I don't really want to do this, can you imagine what it's going to be like if you got to see Adam Gase around for another season of Jet football? Can you imagine what this poor soul's going to do? Wow.
I know I've said, because you asked me, Big Dog, like, you're, why do you put yourself through this? Why does James put himself through this? Why does every Jet fan put themselves through this? And I said, well, because die hard. But in all seriousness, you really have to question that now. You really do. Because if they do this and continue with Adam Gase, and let's say by next fall 2021, fans are allowed in, or half, whatever. Again, we don't know. That's just hypothetical. There's no way. If fans go to those games and Gase is still in charge, I don't know. Like, I mean, unless if you're going just to boo your team, which that's also your right to do.
I mean, you're paying.
And and me, me, I'm every year. I'm a fan. You got to go to a game at least. So you got to get a new hat and a hoodie and shirt. And but with this Jets team, I haven't bought nothing yet, and probably not the rest of the year. And I usually ask for Christmas or my birthday. I don't even want any family members buying Jets stuff for me. No one should be spending money on the Jets right now.
Right.
Nobody.
Right.
Like, the Jets are a joke. The Jets are.
And this is all right. This is what this boils down to. I'm gonna be careful how I say this because I don't want to offend any diehard Jet fans. We love you on the show. You guys are important to the viewership of the show. My co-host is a Jet fan. but I just don't. I don't see a way forward in which you can support this franchise when all they do year in and year out is give you the finger. When your owner comes out and says, "Yeah, Adam Gase is a genius. Adam Gase is an offensive genius," I almost want to look at the owner and say, "What are you like? Are you watching the same thing we're watching?" That's why sometimes I question these owners. Like, I know that they have money involved and they're invested and they
Like,
care.
especially in the NFL, because let's face it, they make more money than any
Right.
other sport, at least in North America.
Right.
I
and
mean, now
understand.
baseball teams are rich. Of course, you got the Yankees, Dodgers, but correct me if
Right.
I'm wrong. I don't think NFL rich.
Well,
I mean,
Steve
maybe the
Cohen,
Yankees and Dodgers, but
Steve Cohen just said, "Yo, hold my beer."
right. And now possibly, because again, but maybe the Mets now, which is
well,
insane to say, but
I'm just saying, just hold
Right.
my whole beer. Like, that's what it boils down to is you.
and look, go ahead.
Go ahead.
And you've started it already. Well, not started since I've known you. Although I have to say you don't watch the entire season, but you still watch your New York Knicks, at least mostly every game. Although until it gets to a certain point where you're like, I can't suffer through this.
Yeah.
I'll watch other NBA, but not them.
Right.
Like you don't buy their stuff. You haven't gone to games.
No.
You'll watch here and there, but you won't,
Right.
No, James, I'm not saying go away from the Jets. That's
I'm not saying that either.
I'm not picking another team. I'm
No.
just saying if Adam Gase really is the coach next year, I really don't think you should, Jet fans. Again, I'm not saying you have to do it. That's
Right.
again, this is your feelings on it. But you shouldn't go to games, shouldn't buy their stuff. And I'm usually the first to be there. Like, yeah, of course, Jet games, tradition, go at least to one game a year, or buy new Jet gear, a couple weeks before the season starts to be all hyped up and ready. But, I mean, really, for what? To watch this? To support that? To support this ownership? That garbage? No way. And if you really hire Adam Gase again and keep him,
look, I'm not saying run because I think being a fan is part of what makes sports unique. Is what part of draws everybody in. But I think at certain points when you're not being rewarded for being a fan, you kind of got to question, okay, how much is being a fan really worth when the ownership group itself doesn't care? It's almost like it's true. It's almost like rooting for the Knicks. I'm a Knicks fan. I'm always going to be a Knicks fan, but at some point you have to look at, the last 20 years and go, the Knicks are still rich. They're in the top 3 every year in terms of most valuable.
They're number 1, correct? If I'm not wrong, in the NBA.
The Lakers just overtook them this year.
Right.
So, but I'm saying they're still in the top 3. So it really, at what point does it really matter? Because we're not losing money here.
Absolutely.
If Dolan sees, all right, there's 19,000 people in the Garden every night, no matter how bad the Knicks are, there's going to be people in the building.
And can we get in? Go ahead. I keep interrupting you today.
No, you're good.
Just, again, because I want to stick with the Knicks for 1 minute, then go back to the Jets, because this is interesting, right? You're both in the same city. You're both, of course, Giant fans would probably say Giants are a little more popular than the Jets overall, which is whatever. I would say that too, probably, because they're more established. But the Jets have a massive following in New York. Massive fan base. Maybe as big as the Knicks or close. But you look at the Knicks, I think the advantage they have, and you say it every year, where do they play? Right in the middle of Manhattan at Madison Square Garden. And as much as I don't like the Garden because I'm an Islander fan and the Rangers play there, It's, where tourists want to go. It's where people want to go on a Friday night or a Saturday night or whatever. If you're visiting from New York, out of the country or not, if the Knicks are in town or a concert, you're going to go there. Where the Jets, they play in the middle of a swamp hole in New Jersey. People aren't going to. Now, people still go like just for a day out or to see a football game for dirt cheap. But the Knicks have that, and you got to be annoyed at. I mean, of course, you got to be annoyed at it, though. Because you always know that building will always be full forever. Literally forever. The Knicks can, and I hope this doesn't happen for your sake, but the Knicks can never come close, let's say in your lifetime, to never winning a chip, but that building will always be full.
Here's the other thing, too. Not only will it always be full, but you will have Knicks fans that will stay every year. Maybe if we win 40 games,
right?
We might sneak in.
Make things in. Yeah, exactly.
If we make this move, if we make that move. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with being optimistic. Be
of course not.
Because the Knicks and Jets need some optimism right now. My whole thing is, when does optimism get replaced with what the hell are we doing?
Right. And
because it goes back to they just hired Tom Thibodeau, right? So you probably thinking, oh, you just hired Tom Thibodeau. So you think I'd be feeling good about it. I don't. And I don't because I don't believe he's the right coach for the job. Not because he's a bad coach, but look at where the Knicks are in terms of their development stage.
Right.
Adam Gase is not the right guy to bring in.
No.
You look at a guy, and I'll give you an example, and not everybody should use Gase, so I'll choose another example. If you really want to develop this quarterback, why the offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs was not
the enemy, right?
Is a joke to me.
100%. That's the guy who they should hire next year if they even decide to fire Gase. Because again, it's the Jets, and who knows? But that's who they should hire, and they should draft Trevor Lawrence.
Now, if I'm Trevor Lawrence, I'm staying in school another year.
I was going to bring that up. I believe as a scarred for life Jet fan, the kid's going to pull a Peyton Manning and stay in school another year. Now, Paul Feinbaum, I think, was on Get Up yesterday or Thursday and said that, it'll be inconceivable if Trevor Lawrence stays at school. I don't think he will.
Listen, really.
It is the New York freaking Jets.
If anybody, if
anything can go wrong, will go wrong for this team.
Look, and getting to Emilio's point, because he says Tibbs has had success, Gase has not.
Right. So people may want to go to the Garden whenever they're allowed in again.
Have you seen the way it ended with that crew in Minnesota with Jimmy Butler, Karl-Anthony Towns, and that whole crew? Where did you see success there, other than when they made the playoffs in his first year? That was a disaster. That was a dumpster fire his last 2 years in Minnesota. Dumpster fire. Because he couldn't get these guys to believe in themselves. Now, is that completely his fault? No. It's the players that have to buy in and play for you.
Right.
And here's the thing. This makes me sick, and I'm sure it does to you too. But can I ask you something?
Yeah.
When you hear your players like Darnold, you hear other players on the team talk about, it's not Coach Gase, it's us. We have to buy into what he's teaching. We're not executing. We're not. So basically means this goes back to Joe Douglas and him not putting together a competent roster.
Right, which it's not.
So are you telling me this goes back to Joe Douglas and him not doing his job as a general manager, or you just covering up for the coach because you don't want to create a firestorm, which is already created by itself?
Right, and I think that's just typical player speak. I mean, if they really believe in Adam Gase, then what are they on or drinking or whatever, because there's no way any logical person could think that Adam Gase is a viable head coach in the NFL.
Right.
There's just no way. No way. And Joe B brought it up yesterday. The draft that Joe Douglas did, and it's crazy because we all thought Jeff fans trying to be optimistic. All right, look, he piled on the O-line. Donald may be okay this year. Now, I was not happy, and I brought this up to you, that they barely drafted any wide receivers. Only Denzel Mims hurt. What else is new?
He's supposed to play Sunday at Arizona next Sunday. That's
We're
what they're
actually
saying.
at MetLife for that one.
Oh, so you're at MetLife. So
Another loss, though. I mean, it don't matter where we play. We could play at a local park and get killed.
who's to say that Denzel Mims is going to be on the field? Because
Right.
he feels good now. He still got to go through a week of practice. He still got to go through a week
Yeah.
of reps.
All-
To pass on and run around. It's
All of his draft picks are hurt. Now, that's not really on Douglas. He can't control injuries and not. But, I mean, it's just amazing how every year there's something. Mono.
and
injuries.
it's always the same thing. It's always the same thing with the Jets. Is it injuries? Is it front office incompetence? Is it the owner just listen? Deep down inside, I'm gonna say this, and it sounds blasphemous to say, but it doesn't seem like the owners care.
No.
And you're probably thinking, oh, well, they care. They got money. We can go so many different ways with that comment, but I will not. I understand the being optimistic part. That's totally cool. But how many times have we done this? He's hired Todd Bowles. They've hired this one. They've had people outside of the organization do general manager searches
Right.
for whoever the successor was going to be at that point in time.
Right.
Why can't we make a normal football hire?
I know. And
I mean, why does it have to be a complete circus?
right. It's hire and fire, hire and fire. You keep the GM, you fire the coach. You keep the coach, fire the GM.
And this is why the Met thing with Wilpon may not be that bad. Because not with Cohen may not be that bad.
No.
Because you've seen what the Wilpons did to the Mets. One day it's we like this guy. The next day it's we don't.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It was a lot of that going on with the Wilpons, where maybe Cohen brings in an established baseball guy, Ron Sandy, and goes,
Yes.
"All right, you guys are in charge of all this. If you need my opinion, then I'm here. I'll give it." But
100%.
it just there's so much volatility in New York sports, because then you're hearing on the other side with the Giants, what do they do with Gettleman? Does Gettleman survive? What does it mean for the future of Joe Judge? It just
right. And to go through it, I mean, look, from the time the Johnsons built the team, or bought the team, excuse me, Belichick knew something was up with the Johnsons after Leon Hess passed away. He wanted out. Herm Edwards,
Right away.
Go ahead.
Right away, he wanted out.
Herm Edwards did have some success, but he wanted out eventually from the Johnsons. He asked to leave. Mangini, we had some success, but not enough. I mean, Rex did 2 championship games, but then it was a disaster. I mean, it's just one thing after another. Like, we had success under Tannenbaum too, but not enough. I mean, we've had trips to the postseason championship games, but now, I mean, and I said this like a week ago on one of our shows. This is going to be 10 years that the Jets haven't been in the playoffs. 2 8-8 seasons, 1 winning season, 1 in 10 years. That's horrible.
Wow.
And you're seeing it already, going back to going to games. And James, you know this, John, we go to games, right?
Hold
James,
on. That comment right there is everything. It's a tax write-off for the Johnsons. That's everything. That one comment encapsulates how
Yes.
Jet fans really feel. Because how much yelling can you do about how bad the organization is?
How much saying this guy's got to get fired, or this team stinks, or the dumb penalties? I mean, it's literally the same, banging your head against the wall every football season if you're a Jet fan.
And
It is.
here's the thing: how many times do you get to hire and fire a head coach?
Right.
How many times are you given the luxury to say, "We got to make a change"? And then how crazy is it? You came over the other day before we did the show on, I think, what was it, Tuesday?
Monday.
Monday.
Mhm.
You said to me, you said, yo, what does it mean that we fired Gase when this ownership group is going to keep doing the same thing over and over and over again? And how is it that your whole mindset changes from this is our guy, he's a genius, we trust him, to
Right.
inside of 2 weeks, you're reevaluating his job assessment?
And even having Greg Williams as an interim wouldn't mean anything. A defense stinks.
Defense has been trash.
And he's not that good of a defensive coach anyway, apparently.
Obviously.
And you see it already if you go to Jet games. I mean, yeah, the building, all right, maybe like a little over 70,000. It ain't even fully packed.
No.
But
there's no Jet fans in there.
No, thank you for leading me into that point, because it's either the away team's fans, taking over. James, John, we've seen that before, right? Going to Jet games together. It's the away fans take over MetLife, or people wearing random jerseys that don't give a you-know-what about the Jets. They're just worried about their fantasy team and just going to see a football game.
Right.
Giants, too. And Giant fan, we're the team in New York. Yeah, really? Not many fans Wait.
You have the audacity to say we're the Giant fans.
We're the established team. We're not the Jets.
Hold on.
We're the classier team, or we're the,
Giant fans. Hold on, Giant fans.
This is just things I hear and see on social media.
You're the classier franchise, Giant fans? Aren't you the same franchise that's fired two general managers and two head coaches with the same general manager? Isn't that you? Isn't that you that hasn't made the playoffs since your Super Bowl season in 2011? But you're the classier franchise. Oh, wait a minute. You kicked the can for a 90-year-old Eli Manning to get another chance at the chip. But you're the more knowledgeable franchise. Okay, I'll play along.
Now give them credit. They have won a couple of Super Bowls at least in this lifetime.
Well, what does it mean?
I hear you, but still. And they've won a Super Bowl in the last 10 years and made the playoffs. Although, again, going on that boat trip was a horrible idea by the wide receiving core, but whatever. That's another story. But no, you are seeing it with both teams at MetLife. There are fans that they're not selling out. Even the Giants. That's right,
Why
Giant
would
fans.
you?
Like, you're right. And they actually have waiting lists for season tickets, usually for the Giants. I wouldn't be on that if I was a Giant fan. Seeing what
set my season ticket passes on fire. Set them on fire.
For both teams. And if you're still a Jet I'm sorry, but because it's such an emotional thing for me as a Jet, like my grandfather, may rest in peace, was a Jet season ticket holder, people. Who I was watching out there for 35 years. 35
God bless him. God bless him. He's
up until when he passed away. But, just the sainthood of him and the patience of that man to go to Jet games. Yeah, it's a year.
35 years. What?
35.
What? I'm a Jet and Giant fan. Giant fans act like they're
Yeah, well, that's usually the mix, though. Joey is
Well-
Giant and Yankee fans. You know,
I gotta call Yankee fans too. Yankee fans.
they think
They
they're
didn't- They
poop
didn't
don't
they didn't-
stink.
They didn't do nothing yet. Let's not get crazy. Because can I see them losing this series to Tampa? Yeah. Yeah.
It's possible,
Yeah. Can I see them getting swept? Yeah. Yeah.
but that's
Yeah.
the advantage. I'm advising, and even Giant. And I'm not a Giant fan, but even if I'm a Giant fan, if you're a Giant fan, don't go.
Don't do that. Yeah. Don't go there.
Don't buy Giant stuff. Don't
Oh God.
Don't do
almighty.
it. Don't do it. And that's what I'm
Because
saying. Don't run away from the team. Still be a Giant and Jet fan. Absolutely. Root for your team.
Do
If
it.
you want to watch them every now and then, all right.
Okay. I'll say this. I became a Cleveland Brown fan because I wanted to be different. For me, being different means I want a different feeling on Sundays. And not that it wasn't cool watching the games with my brothers, because it always was, and we still do. I watch the Giant games because my brother Ange, who's a diehard Giant fan, who has more optimism and faith for me and you combined. So I respect it. But and look, the Browns are going to go through that hard time. The Browns are the epitome of horrible.
But you're going to stick with them. So,
But you have to, at some point, you got to plant your flag in the ground and go, listen, would I rather watch this team suck or would I rather watch another team suck? They're going to suck either way. So it's like, you know what? It sucks, but you got to
Sorry.
stick with it.
a cat just walked by.
Oh, get the cat.
But yeah.
Mekhi Becton looked fantastic
He did.
too. They ran him out there with a bum shoulder and just lost for the year. Jetsy and light. You know what, Joe? You're not wrong. And then, okay,
It is Jetsy and like.
Can we get into the deeper question of this? Where's the medical staff going? Hold on, bro. This is our number one pick. Like, we just invested number one pick type money at the 11th slot for this kid. Let's not put him back out there.
Right.
It's just not smart for the future of the organization to say, we're going to put him back out there. Because it seems like you don't have any clue about the future. And they might ruin that kid. I hope not, because he looks promising, but they might ruin that kid just like they ruined Sam.
Yeah. Typical Jets. 1000% though.
Good Lord Almighty, man.
And just again, and then I mean, we can keep talking about this if you want to move to something else, but
No, whatever you want to do.
but anyone who's out there, and I believe this, you are
Right.
not. Listen, you are a diehard fan still, and my opinion, I'm sure Stefan believes this too.
Me, yeah.
That if of any team, I'm not just saying specifically to one,
No,
but if you don't watch, if you don't buy their stuff, if you don't go to their games, but you still support them, you follow them, of course, let's say on social media for what they're doing, of course, you still keep up, but you
Of
just
course.
don't, how do I say,
partake in the buffoonery that is the franchise of the New York Jets.
right, or
Don't partake in the
monetarily
buffoonery.
participate, spending money on the team, right.
Good Lord, man.
But yeah, still follow them, still say you're a Jet fan, but you gotta at some
You're
point.
just be like, yo, I'm taking a hiatus for the mental health. Because, yo,
Right, like I'm not saying James to run away from the Jets. I know
No,
you won't,
don't
neither
run away.
will I.
Don't do that.
So Joey
Listen,
won't, I know,
I root for the Knicks. If anybody got a reason to run away from the
and
Knicks,
he hasn't done it yet. So
and I'm not going to.
right,
Oh, it sucks. It's brutal. It absolutely is. And here's the hard part: is that when you don't watch, you feel cheap. Like, yo, am I
Right.
being Am I not being a
A real
diehard enough
fan.
by not watching them?
Mm-hmm.
Here's the problem: by you watching them, you're still complicit, and you're causing to the problem because you bring the NFL ratings, you're bringing them ratings, you're still watching their games, and listen,
Just watch other football. That's what.
Ira from Staten Island,
Oh God, I love Ira.
yo fam. The fact that there's not a placard outside of MetLife Stadium of his face talking about the world's #1 Jet fan, they should give that guy a medal.
They really should. For literally going to every single Jets game home and away, preseason and regular season and postseason when they're there. I mean,
Whenever that is, every 90 years.
I want to meet that guy one day and just when COVID's over, like shake his head or give him, the elbow or fist bump. Like, yo,
fam.
you are the Jet fan of Jet fans. Oh, Ira's awesome. Love it.
Yo,
Him and Joe B. I love them both.
They're like the Holy Grail.
On hearing Beningo without Evan Roberts yesterday was beautiful. And just
and then I'm like, yo, can somebody go? Because I get worried about Joe B. Joe B's up in age.
Yes, and so is Ira.
Joe B looks like he's aged 1,000 years.
I mean, wouldn't you? If you're a Jet fan for 65 years, as he says.
Oh my Lord!
65 years, bro. I've been dealing with the franchise. They've tortured me enough. And some Jet fan that calls in yesterday says, Joe, did you watch the game yet? He goes, of course I watched, bro. Of course.
Yo, it's
oh my God.
It's sad, bro.
It truly is sad.
I don't even know what to say because it comes down to a point where, and you guys that are watching out there, you can tell me whether you believe this or not.
Mm-hmm.
But I really believe it's like Don LaGreca says, it's a bowel movie. You don't want to watch,
but you feel
don't want to sit. But if you don't, a part of your Sunday's ruined. It sucks because football is something that we all look forward to, whether we're Giant fans, whether we're Jet fans, whether in my case, whether being a Cleveland Brown fan. Like, I'm already looking to get to Cleveland at some point when the pandemic's over to get in there and root on my boys next year. Like, I'm already looking to do that. So, and even for them, sometimes, they frustrate me because everybody keeps looking for Baker Mayfield to have this breakout game. And I'm like, can we not even worry about that?
He's busy doing commercials, this guy.
Oh, my God. That's another thing that gets me sick. Like, bro, what are we doing?
Worry about your football team. Stop doing commercials.
Exactly. And you don't think, and you know me, I hate all that garbage. If you didn't win nothing, you shouldn't be allowed to do nothing.
Right.
Michael Jordan said it on The Last Dance. If I was averaging 2 points a game, you think people would be buying my shoes? Come on, bro.
But it's with the Jets, it's a sad, as Elton John would say,
for the first time in your miserable existence, please.
In one of his songs, it's a sad, sad situation. It just is. It's sad.
It's beyond sad. It's almost to the point of like you're like the Jet fan is like the puppy dog that's just got the cry, and they're like, God, is this gonna end? Can I go outside and go like run around and be free without the shackles of being told no? You have to wait. You have to wait. Big dog, how old are you? 27?
Gonna be next month. Yeah.
Think about this, folks. He hasn't seen a whole playoff game in 18 years.
Since the 02 season. I was 9 years old.
Yo, big dog. You deserve a medal. You deserve a medal, fam. Word up.
And they beat the crap out of Peyton Manning and the Colts 41-0 at Giant Stadium. Imagine that 41-zip with Chad Pennington at quarterback. Herm Edwards was the head coach.
You play to win the game.
Hello. You don't play to just play it.
You play to win the game.
God, imagine being there.
Like-
Oh my God. The atmosphere,
Yo,
forget it.
Herm right now. And then to have the audacity to think, oh, you think he'll come back and coach?
The Jets
No.
or Rex Ryan, because that's when the last time we were even successful.
Yeah.
To it. He ain't coaching. He's got an awesome gig at ESPN. Why would he leave?
But he's a little off his rocker, right?
Yeah, some things he's saying lately, I'm not in love with it.
Yeah. A little nuts over. It just it sucks for people that love the sport of football. It's like we literally all we do is sit there and watch paint dry for 3 hours,
Yeah.
and then you get up in this like broken haze, and you're just like, okay.
And thank the Lord I fell asleep during the game the other night. Like with 9 minutes left in the second quarter, I fell asleep. I was just too tired, first of all, from getting up early. But
Right. I saw your text like the other night, real late night. I'm like,
then I got up right at 1 in the morning. And then I checked my phone and saw the text from John in the group chat, my ESPN and Twitter updates about the Jets. I'm like, yeah, of course. I wasn't
I'm
shocked.
sorry. What?
And the headline was Jets give up 10-point lead. And then I watched the winning touchdown by Melvin Gordon, which was a hell of a run, but I'm sorry. Yo, you got to tackle. Did you see how many opportunities they had to tackle the guy? But again, that's a whole nother Jet thing that they do. They can't tackle.
Yo,
12 men in the huddle, 12 men on the field.
The lack of discipline with this team.
Roughing the passer penalties, 2 of them. That were cheap. But yet you almost killed Sam Darnold, but no flag. All right.
Now you know I used to feel with Melo back in the days because they used to annihilate Carmelo Anthony. We didn't get a foul call.
Yeah, they don't do nothing.
The moment the Knicks touch somebody, oh, it's a foul. You can't do that. What?
What a joke.
What? Just, good Lord, man. And that's why you got people going to their fantasy teams and just not rooting for these teams anymore. You got people just checking on their fantasy squads.
And you're going to get more of that as time goes on, bro. In the NBA and football especially, football, like basketball, is a star-driven sport.
Right.
Quarterbacks, the receivers, any superstar player, even a superstar defensive player, they're going to start to be Chief fans or Rams fans or, I don't know, Buccaneer fans because of Brady or, I mean, I could go on and on.
They're going to go wherever the ratings you carried. If this team carries the ratings, that's what
old school, as Emilio would say, old school Jet and Giant fans who are still around and with us, you know, or even in their 40s, 50s, they'll go back to the Cowboys or the Steelers because they're both good. Well, the Cowboys always end up being bad, but they at least are competitive, like the Jets. So,
real quick on the baseball note before we wrap this thing up.
And I have a couple of points too, if you wouldn't mind.
Good.
No, you go say the baseball first, and then I'll.
No, good. You got a point. Get your point out. Because we know you get the Ozzy brain. So.
I would remember this, but I'll say it. Shouts out to Robin Leonard getting a 5-year deal by the Vegas Golden Knights, which, by the way, their third jerseys. If anyone hasn't seen them, please Google it. Golden Knights third jersey.
I saw them.
Sick. Finally, a gold jersey. really nice. But Robin Leonard getting the money and contract he deserves. And I have to just read this tweet from him. I'm sorry, I know you want to make your baseball point, but this got me emotional. Because we still love Robin Leonard. We still love this dude.
We might get some waterworks in there. Hold on a minute.
Well, he put a really long one about, how happy he is that he's officially signed and he's staying in Vegas, but particularly about the Islanders and the fans. He also threw the Blackhawks in there, but he was thanking the New York Islanders and Long Island. I also want to thank at NHL Blackhawks, at New York Islanders organizations and teammates there helped me to this point, especially fans on Long Island that truly changed my life and gave me the push I needed. I mean, Lou, he was in a bad way off the ice, and Lou and Barry, got to include Barry in there too, gave him that opportunity, and he thrived with the Islanders, and unfortunately didn't come back. Chicago gave him a shot. He didn't have a lot of success there, and you saw in the bubble and with Vegas so far just how dominant he was. So, Leonard, we love you. All Islander fans do, and we wish you nothing but success. I would love to see him win the cup one day. If we don't next year, I'd love to see him win it. Although I think the Islanders will be in the cup final next year. Imagine Vegas Islanders cup final. I mean, of course, got to go with my Islanders, obviously, but that'd be nuts.
You want to talk about a torn soul? Oh my Lord!
Nah, I mean, I'd be Islanders all day. I wouldn't even think twice.
But you'd be thinking about your boy, though.
And also too we really haven't talked soccer much yet, and we will once baseball and basketball kind of dies down. Because there is still plenty of soccer going on, but just on the home front here in the States, Serginho Dest, who posted who on earth is that?
I heard it's like this 19-year-old phenom. He got a 5-year deal from somebody, right?
Barcelona.
See, I'm paying attention.
Who used to play for Ajax in the Dutch league because he was born in the Netherlands, but he has an American parent, so he was eligible to play for the United States, and he chose the U.S. over the Netherlands, which is pretty big. And he was getting starts with the Dutch team, but he wanted the opportunity with the American team. And
probably wanted to be closer to home, right?
He could have
from the Netherlands. So.
No, he was born in the Netherlands, and grew up there. But just signing with to be with Barcelona, it was either between them or Bayern Munich, who were another massive team, of course, in Europe. And to choose them, that's huge. So that's awesome. I'm happy for that. Looking forward to watching him play on a huge, huge stage. And not that Ajax isn't in the Dutch league, but I mean, it's not anywhere to the level of Barcelona and La Liga. So that's going to be pretty cool. And just to wrap it up with baseball, and I'll leave it to you, but I will just say, wow, the division series, Padres, Dodgers, Rays, Yankees, A's, Astros, and who was the other NL series?
Marlins.
Marlins, Padres. No, I'm sorry, not Marlins. Oh my God.
Marlins, Braves.
Thank you. I couldn't think of the other team. I mean, what do you think of those 4 matchups? Because those are all spicy matchups.
It's all divisional. Look at it.
Right.
Oakland, Houston, Yankees, Tampa.
Divisional, yeah.
Miami and Atlanta. The Dodgers and it's all divisional.
Right.
Damn.
I mean, just imagine what fans saw in the building. Especially for Rays, Yankees, and Dodgers, Padres, because they had sparks too out there on the West Coast.
Can you imagine what it would have been like in San Diego last night if fans were in the building?
Yo, you saw the parade? Like, people came out, welcomed them back to the city. Now, I hope everyone was wearing masks there because they were definitely not social distance, but that was crazy.
They were doing Congo lines.
I didn't even know Padre fans existed. Not to be that guy, not to be a jerk, but I'm being so serious. I've never met a Padre fan in my life, and San Diego's not as big of a city as LA. Like, of course I didn't think their fan base was that big. I was like, wow, but good for them. I thought that was awesome.
They did a Congo line outside of Petco Park. It was like, what?
And to those who are saying the NHL, NBA, all these seasons this year aren't legit and don't matter, They do. So,
by the way, you know what shot caught me?
What's that?
It was a video of Fernando Tatis with a bunch of Padre fans outside the building taking videos and selfies, and everybody's socially distanced. Nobody's crazy.
Right.
And they're all going crazy. And I'm like, yo, this is awesome. This is awesome from the standpoint that it shows that there's still some fandom in there. There's still some people that care. And I gotta tell you, if you think they're scared of the Dodgers, they're not.
And the NHL and MLB, it's regional, so you still have those fan bases that are still sticking together. Whereas basketball and football, everyone's rooting for the superstar of their fantasy team. No one really gives a shit about the team anymore. Excuse the language. But I'm just saying.
I think that's fair. I think that's a fair assessment. But oh my God! First of all, this and I'm gonna shock you by saying this, but the most interesting series of the week of the 5 games is the Marlins and Braves, because the Marlins have the type of pitching that will send you into like convulsions if you're on offense. This Marlins pitching is no joke. They're all young.
Right.
They all throw hard. They built it slow. And Atlanta, I like Atlanta's offense, but I don't think Atlanta can match up star for star with the Marlins. I mean, we're talking about like you got Sandy Alcantara, you got the kid Sixto Sanchez that yesterday shut the Cubs down. He made the Cubs look, anemic for the most part. But and it's good to see teams like Miami in the playoffs where they're young and nobody gonna expect it, and nobody expected the Marlins to do anything. But since 2003, since their last playoff loss, the Marlins are 7-0 in the playoffs.
I heard that
7 straight games, and I'm like, okay. And here's the thing: I think the neutral ground helps the teams that were the underdog. Like, I gotta tell you, and people are gonna look at me like I'm crazy. I think the Yankees are an underdog against Tampa. I do. I look at Tampa and I think Tampa's just a better overall team. They play better fundamental defense. It's like hockey, right? We know who the stars are.
Yes.
But you like the guy, as we see silence by Big Dog House, but you like the guy who's like the he's the unsung guy.
Yeah.
And
love the unsung hero.
The Rays just got a whole bunch of those unsung guys. You know what I mean?
Imagine like a A's like DS. I mean, I know, of course, you want the Yankees, but
as a baseball fan, I'm with that.
I mean, just elite, like lesser teams, or like Padres, Marlins series, or
that'd be
interesting.
I'm rooting for the Marlins.
And interesting for the sport. I mean, no, right. I think just to give a different flavor. Now, I'm sure Fox and the MLB are
Fox
looking
and
at
the MLB are praying for Yankees now. They're like, yo,
praying.
Please.
And then and then now you won't be a jerk like Michael K. I'm sure because he gave a jerk-ish answer. Because Peter asked, "Oh, will Marlins Yankees World Series, will it have any intrigue?" And I forgot but he gave just a mean answer to Peter Rosenberg. But I'll throw this to you: will that or not? Obviously, it's not going to be Dodgers Yankees, but because Michael K's a jerk. It's not going to be.
It might have more interest than you think, because if you don't think Derek Jeter took what he learned with the Yankees and is applying it now to what's going on in South Beach,
right?
You're not paying attention. Like, the Yankee South moniker is not.
And Jorge Posada's there too. So
right,
I think there's some intrigue. Of course, it's not the Dodgers, but
listen, as a baseball fan, I'm more intrigued with the Yankees Marlins World Series than you might think. Because I'm tired of seeing the Dodgers lose in the big moment. Like, let the young upstart get there.
This may be the year, though, they could do it, the Dodgers. We'll see. And we could get an all-Florida series or an all-California series if the Dodgers or Padres make it and the A's. That'd be crazy. Dodgers-A's would be rematch of the 88 World Series, the last time the Dodgers won. But
deep down inside, I kind of want an all-Florida series. I mean, I want the Yankees to go, but I would be fine with Marlins Rays in the World Series.
It would spark interest in the state, that's for sure.
Oh my God. That he's a dope. That's what he said about K. That he's a dope.
He's an idiot, and he's a jerk.
He's a dope.
Yeah. That could be a rematch.
Yeah, but I don't think the Yankees get there, though.
Like James, you know how we feel about Michael K. Like, it shouldn't surprise you that he's a jerk. He's a jerk. Like, he didn't have to say that to Rosenberg. All he could have said was, "No, Peter, I don't think it would be." But he gave.
But you know what?
Nasty answer.
Kate, see, but you just asked me a question.
Smug.
Exactly. And for somebody that loves baseball, you don't think it's dope to see the Marlins, the young upstart Marlins, in the World Series with an ownership group like Derek Jeter, with everything that they're building down there? As a Yankee fan, not that I feel responsible, but I'm kind of like, yeah, this feels good watching these young boys, develop and grow and take the Yankee pedigree and run with it and do their thing. And in fact, I hope he wins a couple World Series down there in South Beach. Just because when he first took over, they were booing him big dog. They're like, "Oh, this guy's a bum. He don't know what he's doing. He traded our best players." And when they traded Yelich and Stanton, and they're
right, yeah.
Was he doing? Can I ask you guys a legitimate question? Did you really think Derek Jeter was going to fail at this job? Did you really? The guy's had like the perfect life. If anybody,
but he hasn't won yet, though. So let's not grant them that he's winning it or gonna win.
I'm just saying, I'm not.
But I hear you, right? He does have a perfect life. Let's face it.
I'm not saying they're gonna win everything. I'm just saying, if you don't think that they were gonna be competitive and have a shot to win every year, then you're not paying attention. They're not winning every year, but they're gonna be there now. Because it's not in his DNA to say, "Oh, let's punt on a season." He ain't gonna do that. Not what he does. And the moment, look, they would tell, "Oh, the Marlins don't want to spend money." He said, "Yo, let's go get Starlin Marte. I know it's gonna add like $7 million to my payroll, but let's do it."
Yeah.
And didn't think twice about it, which is interesting to me. And you mentioned a good point about the A's and Dodgers in '88. That would actually be fun.
It's a high fly ball and she is gone. Oh, Vince Scully was on with Greeny yesterday. Did you watch?
That interview made me cry.
His voice is awesome.
Thank you, Michael, for having me on and the kind words.
It's time
And
for Dodger baseball.
oh, listen, bring Vinny back for one game of the series.
When I was a youngin, when I was a young lad, when I was a huge baseball fan, when I was a kid, like Vince Scully was the voice of our childhood. If you played MLB The Show, like,
Yes,
oh my God.
when it was still made by 99 Sports. Do you remember
And
that?
that's right, folks. I used to be a diehard baseball fan. Not anymore, but back in the day when I was a young lad, oh. Remember playing MLB The Show back in the day? With Vin?
Oh, of course.
No, that was Giant. That was '89 with Giants
Yeah.
A's, the Earthquake series. Wow.
Wow. He said, I saw that home run live. That means I'm older than all you guys.
No, Emilio's a young guy. It's only a number,
Yeah.
Emilio. Only a number. He looks great for
As
his
long-
age, Emilio.
As long as you're young in spirit and you're young in hat,
Absolutely.
you're gooch. Anyway, Big Dog, this was fun, man.
This was awesome. Oh, that'd be interesting. That's for sure. I think the MLB would love that too, just for the intrigue of it all. Why not?
You had to go there, right?
Oh,
Yeah. You had to go there, right? You had to do that. You had to do that.
you know James likes to stir the pot.
All right. I'm holding you personally responsible. If it happens, you're coming on the show and I'm excoriating you for an hour for putting that in the atmosphere. What is wrong with you? The fact that the Houston Astros should be relegated to just, and then to hear did you hear the comments by Carlos Correa? Those snobby comments, or what do you think of us now? After they beat the Twins, or what do you think? What does everybody think of us now?
Really? That's who you're showing off against? And the Twins suck. I'm sorry to any Twins fans out there, but
by the way, that's 18 straight losses in the playoffs for the Minnesota Twins. Wow.
But listen, tomorrow, just a quick little preview. James, we're having your brother on. AJ Cosenza, James's older brother, is going to be on tomorrow morning with us. 11 a.m. Well, he'll be on 11:15. We start at 11. All football, of course, previewing. Bulls gets to start for Chicago against the Colts.
That's not gonna be a bad game.
It's going to be a great game.
That actually may be watchable now without Mitchell the Bum Trubisky in there.
Nick the Saint Nick Foles starting. You got your Browns against the Cowboys in Dallas. Oh, yeah, that's going to be quite interesting on the show tomorrow morning. Forgot about that aspect. Eagles, Niners, Sunday night game.
Wait, the Eagles are allowed to play in front?
Washington Ravens, you got the Maryland, Baltimore, D.C. kind of rivalry. Not that there probably really isn't much of any, but Falcons, Packers, Monday night game.
The Falcons are blowing up the lead late.
Chargers, Buccaneers, Seahawks, Dolphins might be interesting, but we'll get into all these tomorrow. That's just a little tease. But yeah, tune in tomorrow. This was awesome, Stefan. I'll talk to you after we finish. Thank you, everyone who commented and watched again. Subscribe, share, like, tell people to subscribe, watch and like, please. This was fun being out in the fresh air. I think I got to do this more often on the weekend shows.
We heard nature's element out there.
Well, you know.
A kitty cat scared, it was good.
Yeah, a lot of cats in the neighborhood, and they like I leave for work in the morning. They just sit out on the chairs here and just I'm sitting on your chairs. What are you gonna do about it? Sitting on the bench here, then I'm sitting. Yeah, they don't care.
Listen, the cat wants all that smoke.
Apparently,
What are you gonna do, fam? Nothing. And with that, we bid you adieu.